Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Mike Muldoon podcast in 2025. Yes, episode 1 of 2025. Wishing you all a happy new year. Hope you had a great Christmas. We're coming out of the slingshot, which to me is, I call it the slingshot because for my family, when we get to September, all these birthdays start. And it's like we go birthday. Then suddenly it's Halloween, it's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, and you just slingshot right through like 3 months. It's crazy. But I hope you had a great holiday, everybody. Thank you for sticking with me here today. So we're in 2025. You know, I've talked about last week about, listen, you know, don't give up if you come short of your, going after your goals, or if you have a setback, don't worry about it. Just keep moving forward. But today I want to talk about, really embracing the present moment. I want to talk about how, you know, we often get caught up in the grind and distractions and our own fears, only, you know, to realize sometimes that's too late, that we've neglected the things that really truly matter. So what I want to talk about is, you know, a goal for everybody here today is to really realign your focus, live intentionally, to avoid the regret of maybe getting to a certain point or certain stage in your life, because this is a big thing where a lot of people, as they start facing the end of their lives, especially a lot of older people, they start talking about what could have been and how they started looking at the fact that there were so many things that in their lives they wish they would have done. They put emphasis on all the wrong things. And today, you know, going to 2025, I just want to, you know, again, realign our focus again, make sure that we start living more intentionally, and again, avoid that big R word, which is regret. And that's what we're going to talk about today. One of the really hard truths about life is that you will have more regret from inaction, the things you don't do. Those things will tend to stick with you longer than the regret of action, right? Because at least when action, you took a chance. Now think about it. How often have we all wished we had spent more time with people we loved, or pursued a passion, or stuck with a dream, or simply just been more present in the moment? See, it's those kinds of regrets that tend to linger longer because they're about missed opportunities, and a lot of times the things that we truly do value the most that we've just kind of set aside. There was this woman named Bronnie Ware, and she's an Australian nurse who basically worked with the terminally ill patients. And she wrote about the most common regrets of the dying in her book, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. And the most frequent one was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself, not the life others expected of me. Other regrets were about not expressing feelings or working too much. This is another one. A lot of times people talk about how much emphasis they put on their work, their life, their career, but at the end it really didn't matter. What really mattered to them was how they didn't focus as much time maybe on their family or all the friends that they lost touch with. And these are all reminders of things that we tend to overlook in this hustle of life, because we get so fixated on things that we think are so important to us that as we get to, you know, especially in this case, a lot of people got towards the end of life, realize weren't as important. So, like, how do we get there? Like, what is the biggest problem? Like, why do we get stuck in this cycle? Why do we end up neglecting the things that matter the most? It's not that we don't care. We just get distracted, or a lot of times there's that word, fear. We get fearful. You know, and some of those reasons might be distraction, especially nowadays with technology, right? Technology, social media, the fast pace of our modern life. It's very easy to get sidetracked and forget that what's truly important to us. You know, again, fear. We often put off important decisions or conversations because we're scared of failure, rejection, or discomfort. So what happens is we kind of stay in the same lane, even though the other lane might be better for us if we're willing to just not be so fearful and take that chance. We also have this real, and I see this in myself now, this illusion of time. We think we have plenty of time, so we put things off for later, right? I'll get to it later, forgetting that later isn't guaranteed. You know, I think about myself. I remember being, you know, in my 20s and like, plenty of time, you know, 30s, plenty of time, 40s, plenty of time. Now I'm 50. Time is moving. And I like to think that I'm somebody who does, try to live life to the fullest for the most part. I've taken a lot of risks in my life. If you've been following my podcast for years, if you've been with me, you'll hear a lot of the things I've taken. I've moved from jobs. I've moved across the Atlantic Ocean 3 times. Any opportunity I think that maybe try to better my family and myself and everything, I'm willing to take these risks. And I feel like I've done a lot. And yet sometimes I feel like I've done nothing and I feel like I'm running out of time. But we need to understand that time is the only currency we can't make more of. There was a study from the Harvard University that found that people spend nearly 47% of their waking hours thinking about something other than what they're doing. This mind wandering really can just lead to unhappiness and wasted time. So I think it's really important that we have to figure out a way to get back on track. We need to shift our focus to the present. And again, I will tell you, I struggle with this one sometimes. I'm definitely somebody who does find myself often living in the future about other things. And at least I've gotten a little bit better about pulling myself back into it. And one of the way to do this is really by practicing that mindfulness, right? A simple habit like just spending 5 minutes a day focusing on, if you need to, it could be your breath or writing about things you're grateful for. Or, any of this stuff can help you really get grounded, or just really just trying to remind yourself, I'm here. What's around me? What's going on around me? Is somebody talking to me right now? Am I actively listening to them? There's another thing that people say, and it might be a bit extreme, but, you can also try what's called like a deathbed perspective. Imagine looking back at your life from the end of it. What will really matter? Use this mindset to really decide how you want to spend your time and your energy, and don't wait for the perfect moment to take action. Whether it's writing to a friend, calling a friend, telling somebody how important they are, starting a new project, starting a new habit, taking one small step today can make all the difference in your life tomorrow. And some of the strategies you can use to really help you live more intentionally and avoid regret is really schedule what matters. We often give too much time to things that don't really matter. A lot of that is worry. How often you worrying about things that sometimes never come to fruition. I've talked about this in the past. One of my favorite quotes was from Mark Twain, who said, "I suffered many great tragedies, most of which never happened," which is obviously attributed to the reflection on the human tendency to worry about potential hardships that never really materializing. And it really, what the quote is saying is just emphasizing the futility of excessive worry, but we tend to spend a lot of time doing that. So the thing is really scheduling time that matters. Treat time with your friends, your family, or even time with yourself as sort of a non-negotiable appointment. Set more boundaries. A lot of times people just struggle because they just commit to too many things. Set boundaries around your commitments. Don't align. If they don't align with like your values, if you feel like you just have to do them, don't do them. Take that time back for yourself or for your family. Take time each week to ask yourself, what went well, what didn't, what can I improve? You also might just find that you're just committing to too many different things, because it's really interesting. I see this with a lot of people. They commit to so many things because they feel like they have to. And at the end of the day, they're actually more upset, frustrated, and angry. But yet they're kind of doing it to themselves because they're just keep committing to all these things, but they really don't want to do them. Don't do the things you don't want to do. I mean, obviously there are things in life you're going to have to do. Like, with my kids, sometimes I don't want to have to go in there and make their beds. But, as a parent, sometimes you got to step in and help out. But what I'm saying here is find the things that, are important to you. And if they're just not important to you to be doing, especially again, with all these commitments, if you're a parent and you're in the schools right now, I mean, there's always something being asked of you. And if you're feeling it, you have to always do it. But at the end of the day, you're not really doing it because you want to do it. You feel like you have to do it. And then you're getting angry. It's not worth doing it, So it's really important that we start realigning ourselves with our values, what's important to us, what is going to maximize our time. Because what we don't want to do is get to the end and again, deal with regret, because regret really is the echo of a life not fully lived. But the good news is you're alive right now and you have the opportunity to change things, to realign your focus and to say, this is the life I want to create. And if that's what you're feeling right now, if you're really starting to see this, start today. That time is now. All right. That time is now. We don't want to get to the end and look back and think about all the things we should have done and we should have done differently. All right. As always, I really appreciate you being here with me. And, if this episode resonates with you, it'd be great if you just, Share it with family, share it with friends. If you can hit the Apple and give it a review. Hey, I'd just love to see what you're saying. Maybe there's things I got to change. Maybe there's things in this podcast I got to change. But I can always use that feedback. And as always, listen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being with me. I always wish you the best. You have a great weekend. Be safe about it. And as always, I got nothing but love for you.